Riddler, You're the Villain issue 1, Mark
Yeah.
Russell writing with Scott Goliski on the art.
Yeah. So Mark Russell's a master of these types of issues. Now I realize after that Sinestro one, this is a completely different tone, and it's Riddler's meeting up. It opens with them. He's at this Egyptian cafe that's super gaudy, and he's talking to King Tut, which I think that's great because King Tut was one of the few Bat villains that premiered on the '66 show, and slowly made his way into comics. And here's a kind of a new version, but they're commiserating with each other because neither of them got the offer from Luthor. And this really just throws Riddler in a tailspin because it's like, what am I doing with my life if I'm not, good? If I'm not seen by Luthor as good enough to get one of these boxes. And King Tut's like, oh well, we just got to go at Batman harder. I think if we team up on our puzzles, then it'll work out. Batman won't know what hit him. So we'll do a whole thing where it's Egyptian themed, and then right before he has to choose between these two different these two different pathways, you'll pull the rug out from under him and drop him into one of your riddles, and that'll be the end of Batman. So Riddler agrees to it, and you see the last time King Tut had done this, and that's the reason why Luthor hadn't sent him a box is he had set up two doors that Batman had to choose between. One was King Tut and one was a tiger, and the tiger roars behind door one and gives it away, right? So he doesn't, he's not the best puzzle guy, which is why he runs a restaurant. Which this leads Riddler to go home and basically feel sorry for himself. And when he gets there, Apex Lex is waiting for him, and he kind of just makes fun of him. He's like, your whole life you've been trying to be the Riddler, and he holds up this trophy from his childhood, and it's from like a class that you see he comes from a rough upbringing, and that school was his escape, and he really shined there, and that's when he decided to become the Riddler that young, and he ends up going back with King Tut, and they send the clue to Batman, and Batman's with the Gotham City Police Force, and he's talking with Gordon. He's like, "Oh, it's King Tut. Give me a half hour, 45 minutes. I'll have this situated." And the cops have just ordered the pizza. It's like, "Oh, well, we'll save you a few slices, Batman. Still should be hot by the time you get there." So Batman goes through it, and it's all Egyptian themed, and he has to be weighed by Anubis, so it's this big gigantic scale. Like it's very Silver Age Batman, and of course he gets there, and as Riddler's hiding in the sarcophagus to open the door on Batman, he starts to think about what Lex told him and how pathetic he is. And he doesn't perform his task, and Batman easily takes out King Tut. And then Riddler leaves, and on his way out, he's like, I think I need a fresh start. I think it's time for me not to be the Riddler anymore. And I've been on here saying that Riddler was one of my favorite Bat villains for like the longest time, but I couldn't really figure out why. And it turns out I just really liked the Paul Dini version when he was in Detective and he was a private investigator and trying to prove he's better than Batman. And this basically addressed all those things. It's like, well, why is the Riddler a A-level villain when all he does is leave riddles for Batman to defeat him? So if this does stick after Year of the Villain, I hope this leads to a different version of Riddler. If not, it's a really nice story that, Riddler gets to self-reflect on why he even does all this. And, at a certain point, he opens up his shirt, and you can see the question mark from More Jokes and Riddle carved onto his chest and whatnot. And yeah, but man, Mark Russell really with kind of the thinkers lately. And the art's pretty good. Like it's nothing like special, but it handles like the silliness real well. It's kind of like Byrne with Wonder Twins, to where you get to that big huge like scale with crocodiles underneath it and whatnot. And it looks silly. And I was going through it again. But there's a story that Lex tells Riddler about living in Smallville. There was a guy that lived next door to him, and his name was Dale. He was obsessed with tornadoes, and the tornadoes that hit Smallville were never that huge, but he basically lost his family only focusing on creating this tornado box. And then finally one day the big tornado hit and it destroyed his house. But as it destroyed his house, it started a fire, and Dale got cooked alive in his impenetrable tornado box. And so he basically compares that to Riddler. Is you've created this box of being the Riddler, and you're cooking yourself alive in it. And then he goes, well, aren't you going to, give me something, a gift? He just goes, I just gave you the gift. So yeah, it was a whole lot. I do recommend it, even though I just gave everything away. Definitely go back and read it if you guys have time, because it is one of these that if it does land and this goes forward, it's definitely the issue that signaled a new joke, or God damn it, again, a new Riddler. I'm gonna give this a 9. That's how much I enjoyed it. It was that good.